On the 18th of September, the people of Scotland will have their chance to vote as to whether or not Scotland should become an independent country or whether or not it should stay with Great Britain. Since 1707, 3 centuries ago, Scotland has been part of Great Britain. The British Prime Minister David Cameron and the opposition leader Ed Miliband argue that people have benefited from the Union and the people of Scotland should stay with Great Britain. Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond and supporters of independence argue on the contrary, that an independent Scotland could guarantee greater social justice and equality. As we speak, the election result seems to be on a knife edge. In that situation, the votes of Scotland's Muslim community could affect the outcome. The Islam Channel has come here to Glasgow, the home to the majority of Scotland's Muslims, to see which way they may vote, what the arguments are inside the Muslim community, what the issues are which are going to influence how people will vote. We'll be talking to ordinary members of the Muslim community, and we'll be talking to political leaders from that community as to how they see the referendum and why they are going to vote in the way they will. Join us in this discussion about Scotland's future, the most momentous day, the 18th of September, in modern Scottish history.
We have asked 4 individuals involved in this campaign, 2 from the no side and 2 from the yes side, to put their case as to how people should vote on 18th of September. First up is Jonathan Shaffey of the Radical Independence campaign, supporting a yes vote for independence.
My name's Jonathan Shaffey. I'm a co-founder of the Radical Independence campaign, and I think that on September the 18th we are going to see a yes vote. Why are we going to see a yes vote? That's, I think, important. It's not because people have been won to a nationalist perspective, but because they've been won to an anti-austerity, anti-Tory and anti-war outlook on the world. And if you look at what Westminster has brought about over the last number of decades, it's been nothing but privatisation, nothing but growing inequality, and at the same time as that, they've sent people off to kill and to die in illegal wars like in Iraq. But it won't stop there. We'll also scrap Trident. We'll also have a serious intervention when it comes to the question of renationalising things like the Royal Mail, and we'll ensure that the NHS is free from all privatisation. And that's the sort of society that we are moving towards here in Scotland. But of course, we're not just interested, as the Radical Independence campaign, in just the people in Scotland. We think that a yes vote, while being a platform here to progress these kind of ideas, will also positively impact the movement in England, the movement against war, the movement against cuts. All of these people who are currently protesting in England, I think, will feel energised as a result of a yes vote here in Scotland, because a yes vote represents a rejection of what the Tories are doing, a rejection of years of Labour failure as well. So when it comes to the 18th of September, when people are casting that historic vote, I think in the minds of millions of people, not just in Scotland, not just in the UK, but right around the world, they will be fixed on whether or not Scotland can make history. And on the 18th, I think we will. I got involved in politics at the start of the Iraq War, outraged about the fact that they valued oil more than they valued blood. My dad is from Pakistan. It's important that therefore we mention the fight against racism and the process of demonisation of the Muslim communities that's taking place as a result of the war on terror and the propaganda that went with it. And here is a chance in Scotland to break from that, to say that we want an alternative foreign policy, compare and contrast the reactions from the Scottish Government and Westminster when it comes to the question of Gaza. It's a country difference. In Scotland, it's about medical aid. In England, it's about arming and financing and continuing the arming and financing of the Israeli state. If we break from the UK, we will also break from an oppressive foreign policy to present to the world a progressive, anti-nuclear, anti-imperialist and anti-war agenda which puts Palestine at the heart of that.
Putting the case for a no vote is Glasgow City Councillor Soraya Siddiqui, who represents the Southside Central Ward on behalf of the Labour Party.
I'm Soraya Siddiq. I am one of the councillors for Southside Central. I have been elected since 2012 I was born and bred in Glasgow. My parents came to Glasgow in the 70s, fell in love with Glasgow, and Scotland is very much part of their home. I was one of the first females to attend university in my family. I did a degree in chemistry. I then went on to do a master's in the pharmaceutical analysis. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for a few years. I was then sponsored by a company that is based in England to come back and do a PhD in drug delivery systems for cancer. This was very much a collaboration between Strathclyde, Glasgow University and an industry which has a base predominantly in England. I was able to benefit from being sponsored by this company. Again, a company that is based in England, which is very much part of the United Kingdom and not a foreign country. As a scientist, I believe that disease has no boundaries. Medical research has no boundaries, and we benefit from the United Kingdom in terms of an extra share of research grant which is invested in Scotland and Scottish universities. There are no barriers to disease, and I don't see the benefit of putting up barriers. Scotland has shared hundreds of years of unity with the United Kingdom. We share common culture, currency, and we trade as a partnership. I think it's a fantastic partnership in the sense that we have a strong Scottish Parliament with devolved powers. And we have seen the benefits of the devolved powers in education and National Health Service. And we are also hearing about the further devolution and powers that we'll be achieving in Scotland. We are also hearing about further powers to local authorities. This means that we are able to benefit as being part of the United Kingdom, having further powers in Scotland. We can still pool and share our resources without risking pensions, public funding and jobs. I feel that the facts show that we are better together.
What's clear is that every voter in Scotland can now tip the balance in this referendum. And remember, it's not a protest vote. If we decide to leave, it is forever. Now, I believe passionately we can build a better and stronger Scotland without breaking up the country. The risks are real to families in Scotland. I believe that we should be spending the next 10 days doing everything we possibly can to make sure we can get that fairer, better Scotland and avoid the risks of separation.
I said we want a stronger Scottish Parliament. We want more powers after the experience of the last 15 years over infrastructure and transport, over housing benefit, attendance allowance, over job creation and over tax. And these are the powers we want included immediately in future legislation so that the Scottish Parliament is strengthened in what it does. So the choice is really between a Scottish Parliament with more powers and an irreversible separation where there's no going back. And I think when people see the full scale of the powers that the Scottish Parliament will have, and our ability to do things while retaining the benefits of pensions and defence and security as part of the United Kingdom, including the currency, I think they're going to decide on the extended powers of a Scottish Parliament within the UK.
On a sunny Sunday morning, we met up with 5 members of Glasgow's Muslim community to ask what issues were influencing which way they would vote on referendum day.
What are the issues which are affecting you, your family and friends in the build-up to this referendum as to how they're going to vote?
Most of the issues I've found while I've been canvassing and doing stall work has been very similar to mainstream society. It is about the NHS, it's about education, it's about the benefits that we've created as a devolved government. But if it's a no vote, will we lose the benefits of devolution? So those have been the concerns. The one that has really swung amongst our community, the Muslim community, over the last 4 or 5 weeks has been the Gaza-Israel conflict. Huge amounts of people have come to the door, and when we've explained the Scottish Government interventions to them, they have said,
Which was, sorry?
which were that we were going to offer aid, Our hospitals were open to them so they could come and get their treatment. We were going to send medical and food envoys over. And the fact that we asked the UN to intervene to have a ceasefire and to have both parties sitting and talking to each other from Israel
And how did that contrast with the position, the Scottish Government's position, contrast with that of the British Government?
They were silent. They weren't silent. They said that Israel was right. And the fact that it caused, from their stance, it caused the resignation of Baroness Saida Varsi, because she was so shocked at the lack of compassion that was shown by Westminster.
First is the foreign policy. Second is, can we keep the pound? And the third is, if you're going to be 3% cut in the tax, how is Scotland going to fund that?
First of all, I like the concept of we're living here, so we should be making our own decisions. And secondly, the UKIP is getting very popular down in England. So I'm scared as a Muslim, as an immigrant, that if UKIP or other, they call SNP nationalist, but their immigration policy is not like UKIP. They are not anti-immigrant. So I quite like the idea. They are integrating. They want communities to play their part, and this is the main reason for voting me yes.
I myself, like I said, I was a yes vote. But initially, when the campaigning started for the referendum and so on, I was actually a no. But I was swayed round because deeper as I researched, I found as if the no kind of campaign was more scaremongering than facts. So it swayed me around to a yes. But the only thing that I would have a kind of issue with was immigration and so on. I got married back home in Kashmir. So how would my wife's visa kind of go after the referendum and so on if it was a yes? But I'm a yes, but that would be the only thing that would stick in my mind.
I'm for yes, and the reason being is that we want to decide our own future not far from here rather than in Westminster. The illegal war is going on for 12 years. I don't know what will happen in Iraq.
Can I just ask you, as Muslims over in Scotland, how comfortable do you feel about identifying yourself as Scottish?
I was born and bred here, like I said as well. Most of my friends are Scottish as well, born here. Caucasian Scottish, if I put that in. So I don't have a problem. Basically, if I'm asked where I'm from, I say I'm a Scottish Kashmiri. Even when I'm filling out the forms, it says other, so I put down Scottish Kashmiri. So I'm proud of who I am and where I'm from. But main fact is I'm from Scotland, so it'd come before Kashmir, definitely.
Yeah, I feel much comfortable as a Pakistani in Scotland. I feel I'm more welcomed here than I would be down England. I do visit now and then, but I find people in Scotland much friendlier than in England. Thank you.
I'm in a different position because I have large family in Pakistan. I have families in Canada, USA, and a whole Canadian citizen. And although I work in Saudi Arabia, I still consider, because I'm here for many years, as Scottish.
I was going to say, I find this whole concept of having to identify myself as Scottish, it's a social construct. I was born in England, parents are Pakistani. I'm really proud of my ethnic heritage, and I'm very proud to be living here for nearly 30 years. My kids consider themselves fully Scottish Pakistanis, Scottish Muslims. It's part of who they are. It's integral to the whole makeup of how we see ourselves in Scottish society.
I lived in London for 5 years, and then we moved up here, me and my husband. But then initially when we moved up here, we were not sure how the future will be like. But then it's 7 years now we have been here, so we are loving it. A response from other communities, like other people, they have welcomed us so well, and I am happy and satisfied that by this decision.
And can I just ask you about the pound? What are you worried about keeping the pound?
Well, we've been hearing debates from both sides, yes and no, yes and no. The only light end of the tunnel I've seen was when Alistair Darling said, yes, you can keep the pound. So that kind of edges towards, yes, we can keep the pound. So the no are just scaremongering.
I'd like to ask one final question. I mean, the way the referendum debate is often portrayed as if it's a nationalist issue. Virtually every one of you is family and friends, not just in Scotland, but in England, some of you who lived in England. I mean, how do you think it's a nationalist issue?
Absolutely not. It's a civic movement. It's everybody who lives in Scotland is included in this debate, included in this movement.
Glasgow city centre on a weekend is busy with shoppers looking for a bargain or the latest fashions. But amidst the bustle, you can hear people discussing, arguing and debating how they will vote in the referendum. Across the country, there are meetings taking place, with the media talking about a national debate taking place across Scotland. That's no less true for Scotland's Muslim community. The Islam Channel is here in Glasgow to get a taste of what they are discussing. But first, our very own Niam Raza talks to us about Scotland's Muslim community and its contribution to the life of the nation.
The Muslim community within Scotland is made up of people from various parts of the world, primarily from Pakistan, the areas of Punjab and Kashmir, and thereafter the universities flourished with people from the Middle East and from the Far East. And from the very outset, Muslims have been very affluent in their business, very successful, and in the later generations, university degrees, professions such as doctors, lawyers, going into media and politics. And now they make up the very essence and fabric of Scottish society.
The Islam Channel was invited to the Marhaba Welcome Centre in Whitinch on the banks of the River Clyde to talk to members of the mosque about their attitudes to the referendum.
My name is Tijan Drame. Originally, I came from the Gambia, and I've lived in Scotland for the past 14 years. And actually, I am the president of Marhaba Masjid in Scottstown, and we take care of the daily issues to run out this masjid for the community.
Hi, my name is Walid Tutakhil, and I'm originally from Afghanistan. I've been living in Scotland for over 14 years, and I'm 17 years old, so I'm categorised in the 16 to 18-year-olds voting category, so I'm very excited to vote in the referendum.
Actually, the referendum, it's part and parcel of our life in Scotland, because you have people from different walks of life who have different views and ideas about referendums. And the reality is going to affect our life whatsoever, be it positively or negatively.
I think like most people around my age are very excited to vote, and everyone's really excited to see what the outcome will be. But I think there's a lot of issues that people are like concerned about. They don't know what will happen. Concerns about like there's like stuff over like the pound. There's obviously Trident will be removed. There's other stuff about the national debt and stuff facing about the government and what the government will do to make Scotland better. Because everyone's hoping for the best and for the best of the children in the future. Together,
we can develop the links with the rest of the Muslim community in the United Kingdom. But right now there's a link between people in Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom. Every Muslim community can, we have a lot of things, we pass among ourselves. But when it comes to referendum, it's something unknown to us. What are we going to do? What's going to happen to us? What are the future of our own children?
As a Muslim, there's quite a few, like, Westminster, like, when it comes to the Gaza conflict, like, David Cameron supported Israel, whereas the Scottish government took, like, a different approach, and they supported the Palestine, and I think many Muslims, like, very agreed with that, but because many Muslims will be agreeing with Gaza. I think most people want to vote, but a lot of people are scared to vote, because if they vote yes and then Scotland becomes independent and like it doesn't go very well. So I think a lot of people they're sitting on the edge. So.
My name is Hamza Yusuf. I'm a MSP, member of the Scottish Parliament for this great city of Glasgow, and I'm from the Yes campaign. For me, independence, you can make 1001 different arguments for it. But the most simple argument for independence is this, that nobody in this country is better placed to make decisions about Scotland than the people who care the most about Scotland. And that, by definition, has to be the people of Scotland. We have great resources, from the whisky sales to the oil and gas to renewables, to actually just down the road here, some of the best universities in the world based here in Scotland. Life science technology companies. We have some of the greatest natural and man-made resources than any other country in the world. That's why, for example, that if Scotland was an independent country, we'd be the 14th wealthiest country in the OECD, the rich man's club, while the rest of the UK would be the 18th. We can use that wealth not on nuclear weapons, not on nuclear bombs, not on illegal invasions and wars in Iraq, but we can use that money on our public services. We can use it to make sure our NHS stays public and stays free. We can use that so we can create transformative childcare, so that every parent can go back to work and not have to worry about the cost of childcare.
My name is Councillor Hanif Raja. I represent Pollock Shield ward in Glasgow. I am also Baillie of the city. Only thing is that we have defence and currency together. Since 300 years, the Scotland become united, part of United Kingdom. Therefore, I don't think there is a movement of independence will be viable such, in a sense that we have major issues such as currency, jobs, pension, research, and the money we receive from the England for research and for the pension. You can imagine a person in London, Manchester, Liverpool receive the same wage what people in Glasgow receive, and people in Scotland or Tarbet or Aberdeen receive. That gives you a bigger security impact of as a country.
This debate has aroused enormous passion. In every part of this country, in the smallest community, in the islands, in the countryside, there are public meetings and discussions and debates as to which way people are going to vote, whether they vote for independence or whether they vote to stay with Britain, not least among the Muslim community. And the interesting thing is, the debate does not centre particularly on race or nation. It rests on hard-headed issues as to how that's going to affect people's living standards, their jobs, their social services, education, and so on. Issues of foreign policy arise too. Britain's support for Israel in the recent war in Gaza and the likelihood that Britain will once again be involved in military action in Iraq do loom in this issue, as do the presence of Britain's nuclear missile fleet at Faslane, a few short miles from Glasgow. On the 18th of September, Scotland's Muslims will cast their votes. We shall see what the outcome is, whether Scotland votes no or whether Scotland votes yes.